Hi everyone, and welcome back. In this session, we're going to look at person-centered coaching supervision, specifically in the eSupervision, because that's the world nowadays, and that's how you guys are going to be supervising each other. And so remember, toss in your email address so I can send you your results and your name. Use a fake name if you don't want the real name to be seen. But everything I do is in coaching supervision really comes back to Eve Turner's book. And so get this book, right? That is the book. Eve Turner has done a great job of putting it all together. There are other books I use parts of. I'll let you know what those are. Okay. So let's jump on into it. Person-centered supervision, where I'm going to use a foundation that really starts with therapy, right? But we're kind of adapting it to the supervision and eSupervision, because what we want is not just to supervise, but to get our supervisees to self-actualize and go above and beyond what they've ever done before. If you don't know what self-actualization is, Google it, okay? Because we've talked about it in other recordings. But anyway, here's some conditions, though, that Carl Rogers, when he came up with this idea, and he did all this research, basically he was focusing on, there's 6 conditions that we really need. Okay, first is, and I'm going to go over these quickly. If you need to, stop the video and read them, okay, or just read them in your Google form. And first is the psychological contract. It's we have a contract of working together. Right? And then the supervisee is gonna be pushed. Okay, they're gonna get outside of that comfort zone, and that's what we need, because if everything's already done, then they're not going to get any better. Then congruence of the supervisor is being able to communicate appropriately in that supervision relationship. And then one that I think is one of the most important is that unconditional positive regard. Because as a coach, as a supervisor, our clients, our supervisees, they do things that we may not agree with, we may not like, but we still have that unconditional regard that knows that they can be great. Every time I walk into a coaching or a training room, I enter into a coaching session, I have that in mind, that they can be great, and I look for that throughout that session. All right, now, okay, next one, empathetic understanding. You've got to have empathy as that supervisor, for that supervisee has things they're dealing with, and so we've got to keep that in mind. And then the last one is the supervisee should be able to perceive how the supervisor has that unconditional positive regard, empathy, understanding. All right. Now, some principles in the approach, okay, the above are key. Okay, those assumptions are key. But one more thing is that Rogers assumed, and like I said before, that people are intrinsically motivated to grow. I mean, like, that's the inside motivation. It's in their hearts, in their mind, and this is who we are. And face it, the times when I've been most struggling is when most unhappy, I should say, is when I'm not growing and learning. When I'm growing, that's much happier. All right, so the goal here, though, is to get them to self-actualize. This is growing to beyond what they thought they could be to what they can actually be in life. And this is really that optimal form. So that's really what we're looking for here. But as a supervisor, you can't force self-actualization. It's got to come from the supervisee. And with that, we can support it, we can give them feedback, but it's got to be them. So using this person-centered theory in supervision, all right, so we've got, how can you use it? I'm going to ask you a few questions, okay, so that you can start to develop. And what I'd like you to do is quickly write down some answers here in the form, and then just record your thoughts and submit it. Don't overthink it, okay? So what are my questions for you? All right, and to what extent do you see the 6 necessary conditions in your own coaching and supervision practice? And are you doing those? Okay, and here they are. Are you using them? Okay, then the next, okay, are your approaches that you're using, are they compatible with this person-centered theory? Okay, in these 6 conditions. And how can your current approaches be utilized in a way that can help that client or supervisee? Okay, if as a supervisor, how can you help them? Okay, then next is the necessary conditions. Again, don't overthink this. What's going to be your biggest challenge as you support your supervisee with those necessary conditions? What is going to be your biggest strength? I already told you mine. It's and actually it's both for me. It's unconditional positive regard, because there's times when I coach someone and they've told me they're going to do something and they've gone out there and they haven't done it. And so I got to keep that unconditional positive regard. It's my biggest focus and strength to see that they do that. But it's also one of my biggest challenges too. Then, how can you support your eSupervisee to self-actualize? Then the last one, or last two, is, okay, what would you tell your supervisor? If you have a supervisor, eSupervisor, what would you tell her or him that could help you, that they can do to help you become more of a self-actualizer? Then the last 2 questions, as usual for me, what's been valuable and what's are you still curious to learn more about? Okay. So thanks a lot, everyone. Or in this session, we talk about the person-centered approach in theory and critical preconditions for that supervision and getting people to get to their self-actualized or best self. Stay with us, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye now.